young explorers, it's me, your pun-loving pal, Professor Punzworth, and today we're going to vote for some serious knowledge. Have you ever wondered why, when Americans pick a president, it's not just a simple game of count all the votes and whoever has the most wins? Instead, there's something called the Electoral College. No, it's not a school where electors wear graduation caps and toss around ballots like frisbees. Although, now I kind of wish it was. Today we're going to crack the case of the Electoral College, what it is, why it exists, and how it helps decide who gets the big chair in the Oval Office. Buckle up your ballot belts because this is going to be one electrifying ride. Let's start with a simple idea. When you vote for president, you're not actually voting directly for that person. Wait, what? That's right. You're really voting for a group of people called electors. Think of it like this. Imagine your school is picking a mascot, a big important decision. Instead of every kid voting directly for Sir Woofalot the Bulldog, you first vote for a group of students who promise to choose Sir Woofalot if they win. Those students are kind of like your electors. In the real world, the United States has 538 electors. They are the ones who actually cast the votes that decide who becomes president. So how does a state get its number of electors? Good question. Each state gets electors based on how many people they send to Congress. That's 2 senators, plus however many representatives they have in the House. For example, tiny Wyoming has 3 electoral votes, and giant California has 55. That's a lot of electoral enchiladas. Now, when election day comes around, every voter in each state picks which presidential candidate they like best. Whichever candidate gets the most votes in a state usually wins all of that state's electors. It's a winner-takes-all system in most places, kind of like winning all the marbles, even if you only won a few more marbles than your friend. But a couple of states, like Maine and Nebraska, play by their own special rules and split their electors by district. Talk about coloring outside the voting lines. At the end of the day, all the electors from all the states cast their official votes. And those votes decide who becomes president. Whoever gets at least 270 electoral votes wins the White House. Easy peasy, lemon electory. But wait, why in the world did the Founding Fathers set it up this way? Was it because they really loved complicated math problems? Well, maybe a little. The real reason is coming up next. Now, why did the Founding Fathers create the Electoral College? Well, back in the 1700s, things were very different. There were no cell phones, no internet, and definitely no I voted selfies. People mostly knew only their local leaders, not national ones. The founders worried that if everyone voted directly, people might just pick someone super famous, but not necessarily super qualified. Like electing the guy with the biggest wig instead of the biggest ideas. So they invented the Electoral College as a sort of double-check system. Voters pick electors, and the electors officially pick the president. It was designed to balance power between big states and small states, and between regular voters and state governments. It was their way of saying, let's be careful who gets the keys to this new country. Today, we have better communication, but the Electoral College system is still the way Americans choose their president. And boy, it has led to some surprising results. Sometimes a candidate wins the most people's votes. That's called the popular vote, but still loses the election because they didn't get enough electoral votes. That's right. It's possible to win the popular vote, but lose the presidency. It's happened a few times in history. Let's take a quick look at a few famous examples. In 1824, there were 4 major candidates. No one got enough electoral votes. So the decision went to the House of Representatives. They picked John Quincy Adams, even though Andrew Jackson had more popular votes. Talk about a political plot twist. Then, in 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes lost the popular vote, but after a lot of drama and a special deal called the Compromise of 1877, he still became president. You could say he Howie-Zed right into office. In 2000, George W. Bush lost the popular vote to Al Gore, but won the Electoral College after a very close and very controversial race in Florida. And in 2016, Donald Trump lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton, but won the Electoral College and the presidency. These examples show how powerful the Electoral College really is. It's not just about how many people vote for you, it's about where those votes come from. Coming up next, how the actual electors do their job and what happens if nobody wins. Stay tuned, scholars, this election adventure is just getting started. All right, election experts, let's keep rolling down the road to the White House. Now, after the voters in each state have picked their favorite presidential candidate, the winning electors gather together to cast their official votes. This happens in December, about a month after Election Day. They meet in their own state capitals, no big secret clubhouse required. Each elector signs a certificate with their vote, and those certificates are sent to the President of the Senate. Later in January, Congress counts all the electoral votes in a special ceremony. If one candidate gets at least 270 votes, they win. Cue the balloons, fireworks, and polite clapping. But what happens if nobody reaches 270 votes? It's tiebreaker time. If no one gets a majority, the election for president goes to the House of Representatives. And guess what? Each state, no matter how big or small, gets just one vote. It's like a giant national game of rock, paper, scissors. Meanwhile, the Senate picks the vice president separately. It's rare, but it has happened before, like back in 1800 and 1824. Now, you might be wondering, can an elector change their mind and vote for someone else? Ooh, good question. Sometimes an elector does vote differently than they promised. That's called being a faithless elector. But don't worry, it's very rare. And many states have laws to fine or replace faithless electors. Most of the time, electors stick to the plan, so in the end, the Electoral College is a big relay race. First, voters choose electors. Then, electors choose the president. It's like passing the knowledge baton across the finish line, but is the Electoral College perfect? Well, not everyone thinks so. Some people believe it protects smaller states and keeps elections fair across the country. Others think it's outdated and that the popular vote should decide directly. Debate about the Electoral College is as lively as a 4th of July picnic, right after someone mentions pineapple on pizza. Coming up next, let's do a quick recap. And then it's time for a fast and fun quiz to see what you've learned. All right, young citizens, time for a quick recap. Here's your build your own election checklist. First, citizens vote for electors, not directly for the president. Second, each state gets electors based on its number of senators and representatives. Third, most states use winner-takes-all rules. Fourth, electors cast their official votes for president. Fifth, the first candidate to reach 270 electoral votes wins the election. And remember, the Electoral College was created to balance power, but it's also led to some pretty surprising elections over the years. Now, are you ready for a quick quiz? Here we go. Question 1. What are you really voting for on Election Day? The president or the electors? Answer, you're voting for the electors. Question 2. How many total electors are there in the Electoral College? Answer, there are 538 electors. Question 3. How many electoral votes does a candidate need to win the presidency? Answer, 270 electoral votes. Question 4. True or false? It's possible to win the popular vote, but lose the election. Answer, true. It's happened several times in U.S. history. Question 5. Where do electors officially cast their votes? Answer, in their state capitals. Fantastic job, future voters. Remember, understanding how elections work today makes you an even stronger citizen tomorrow. Stay curious, stay courageous, and stay ready to cast your vote for learning. This is Professor Punzworth signing off with a final election joke. Why did the computer get elected president? Because it had the best bite policies. Until next time, keep exploring, keep wondering, and keep punning around. Goodbye, young explorers.